Hey everybody, Skinny K here again with a new movie, a fan movie basically. Not just a fan movie, it's a fan movie, but not just your typical um, guy with a cell phone making his movie. No, it's cinematography wise, it's at the same level as a movie that can come out in the theaters. They actually used professional equipment for this movie, and it were two YouTubers fans of the movie Black Christmas from 1974, which for me is one of my top five favorite horrors and slasher movies of all time. It's Me, Billy. That's the title of the movie. It's a short, 45 minutes long, but the meaning of these shorts are actually it's a one part and you got a second part, and basically you gotta see them together. But of course, the first part came out first, and then you got the second. Now you basically gotta see them to see the first part again. That's the best way to see this and to experience this, because then you have a full movie of an hour and 30 minutes long. Now, um, the sad story is that for chapter two, they wanted to use Olivia Hussey to reprise her role as Jess Bradford, the final girl from Black Christmas, 1974. They wanted to She was on board. She signed contracts, everything they wanted to have, and she wanted to do it for the fans. But then she fell ill. I believe she died. So you will be missed, Olivia. She was also known from Psycho 4 with Anthony Perkins, the last sequel. She plays Norman's mom, the chaotic and crazy mom. And then in It, the miniseries, the TV miniseries with Tim Curry as Pennywise, she plays in the second part with the adults. Uh, it's Bill Denborough, I believe. Denborough, the brother of Georgie, she plays his wife, and she then later on gets trapped by Pennywise in the deadlights that he had with his eyes, and that's where I know her from. But I think she did a lot more than that. Um, Now, this movie, like I said, cinematography wise, it's great. Acting is on par. It's great acting. Great. They There are these little things in the movie that if you see now if you've seen the original movie, you're gonna say, "Oh yeah, that, oh that, and that." For example, there's a moment when our final girl, she's called Victoria Mero. That's the actress. Her name. She's called Sam. She's the granddaughter of Jess Bradford. She and Jess, apparently, because in the original movie she wanted to commit an abortion because she didn't want the baby. Apparently she had the baby and now she has a granddaughter. But Sam wears that in a particular moment. She finds the shirt that Jess Olivia Hussey she wore those. Was a shirt with two hands, like groping her almost on her sweater. Yeah, that's a little, a reminder of the first movie. Also, the phone and the phone number is the exact same kind of phone. It's basically, they say it's the same phone where Billy was always calling on, the same number, and the same number that got tapped by the police by John Saxon. Because the original one was not only Olivia Hussey, you got Margot Kidder in your original one, and John Saxon. This one gets 7.1 on IMDb. It gets a 6.5, and chapter 2 gets a I believe a 6.2, I believe. Yeah. No, gets a 6.5. Yeah, it's exactly what I'm giving it. The reason why I'm not listen, it's a fan movie. It's still a fan movie, but it's, I can tell you here and now, this is made professionally. These two guys, Bruce Dale and Dave McRae, uh, they are just, they're YouTubers. They're, I think, also reviewers. They wanted to make this movie. It's the unofficial sequel to Black Christmas. If people want to, keep Black Christmas as the ambiguity ending, where we don't know what happens to Jess, because at the end she's left alone in that house because one guy faints and all the cops go away, and instead of taking her to the hospital, the victim, no, they take the guy who faints, and everybody whoosh, out of the house, lights out, bye bye Jess, you're on your bed. Okay. But they also explain in this movie why she's still alive. There is a little exposition. Um, this is a small spoiler. I'm gonna do the regular review without spoilers, and then I'm gonna talk about spoilers because I really need to talk about them. Um, Also, Cody Leach, the other reviewer, did a great review of this movie without spoiling anything, so you can also watch him. I'll put the links of the movies in the description. You can find them on YouTube. And yeah, like I said, cinematography. They actually got an award for cinematography in Canada. These guys, like I said, it was done with a professional crew. Um, they the acting is really good, and they tried to get that original tension and that atmosphere that the first one delivered us. This big house, the sorority house, with a killer upstairs. In this situation, Sam goes to her grandma's house. She thinks she's dead, and she basically wanted to be alone at some point. Went off the grid because a lot of reporters were harassing her. She always got these prank calls of Billy, because she wrote a book, The Belmont Massacre, which is the street. The Belmont Street is where the sorority house was. But then they heard she's dead, so Sam is going to that house because she always spent her summers there, and now she wants to stay in that house for 1 or 2 nights because her dad is gonna sell it. It's like this, getting, and that's why she brings her two BFFs, Justine and Emma, with her to stay. And it's a beautiful mansion, it's big, and that's what I said. They capture that same creepiness because they're pretty isolated out there. You got wood, forest, and snow, and it's pretty isolated. You got a neighbor um, who comes and brings cookies, and but she lives like, like a neighbor, but like a mile away neighbor, right? um, and of course, okay, Sam, like I said, at some point they get the calls again. The voice of Billy is played by David McRae, one of the directors, and Brian Charles Peter plays Billy. And never now apparently all these actors were uh, there were a few that were known actors or people that were, I mean, paid actors. Like instead of like I said, they had Olivia Hussey to to reprise a role, but they went with a I don't know her, but with Lisa Kovac as Jess Bradford. But these are actors and actresses that are known in the in Hollywood. Okay. Um, so what happens is they get the calls again, and she basically takes she pulls the phone cord out of the the contact, and she has something like "Leave me the fuck alone." It's again one of these prank calls, and eventually they go and see their movie, and it's basically I think it's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the first one, because you hear the scene where Leatherface is running after the final girl, and that she's constantly. I remember in that movie that she's constantly running in circles, going back in the Sawyer house where all these cannibals are, and then she goes back out, and then she goes back in. Well, I digress. They're looking at that movie. Um, Eventually, and that's the first a little bit. It's a little negative nitpick. It's a nitpick. I always have to be a little lenient on these fan movies, but again, I highly recommend it. Even if you aren't a known, no, if you never saw Black Christmas, shame on you, because that's if you're a horror fan and a slasher fan, you've never seen that movie. I'll put a link in the description because Black Christmas is also free on YouTube. The complete movie, r- good quality. I really recommend you seeing that one. I really do. It's pre-Halloween. It's from 1974, but I swear to God, I think John Carpenter took a lot out of that movie inspiration, because you got a POV shot in the beginning, and at the end you got the scenes where the killer was. The camera goes to the places where the killer was in the same style that Halloween does, only they amped it up with Michael's that that breathing sound, but because he's obviously still alive. But Billy was also alive, so we know that he's still alive in that attic. Um, the first part, like I said, is a little bit of a rehash of the original movie, and that's why I sort of also the kill. I mean, so you don't have a lot of people to kill, Justin and Emma. Okay, Justine is Justine. She, Emma gets killed when she's looking. She hears something. She's looking out of the window. Cut to black, and you hear somebody, tuk, 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 and then you hear like a choking sound. I can already tell you it's asphyxiation. So okay, we're going into spoilers now. Okay, for people who never seen Black Christmas, you can't see this movie without seeing Black Christmas. But I highly recommend you seeing this. This is, if you saw Never Hike Alone, the fan movie of Friday the 13th, this one even elevates it more. It's such a beautiful, the picture, the quality, the acting, the set designs. everything, the mood, the atmosphere, the tension, they got everything. They got everything. It's great. But there are a few details that I thought were okay. I mean, not there are a few movies that I deem perfect. So it's there are always a few negatives, but it's just that's not to give bad critique, right? It's just you gotta I gotta mention those. That's personally my opinion. So, like I said, a rehash of the first one, part one. Justine gets killed by Billy, uh, with the same way that Margot Kidder in the first one gets killed, stabbing, but this time, and you see, all she wakes up and you see his eye, only his eye, but you do see the shape like you also see in the original, and then he goes on town to with her, with the knife. He's just sticking in it, but really mean spirited, like "Rah, rah," like this. And the reason why Sam doesn't hear it is because she has music earbuds in her ears, listening to music. But really mean spirited, like 20 stabs, and so it's a lot more violent. But it's like I said, it's sort of a rehash, and that's the negative part. Also, a little nitpick is that they show too much of Billy, in my opinion. So you can see Billy is gotten older, of course, and he has this long hair. He of course let himself go. He has long gray hair, and I believe he also has a beard. You never see his face, but there is a moment in one of the, I think, chapter two, where you almost see his face, and you can see that he also has a beard. And that was sort of a bummer, in my opinion, because that was the entire thing with Billy. The guy we never really see, only his eyeball and a silhouette like figure, you never, the hands, you never see the guy from behind, which what you don't even know what kind of clothes Billy's wearing in the original one, right? It's But like I said, the acting is really good. The phone calls, uh, the same sort of phone calls that Billy does, but there's this cool moment in chapter two where Billy's sitting on on a table, and he's sitting there quiet like, and he sees himself sitting in the left, and then he sees himself sitting on the right. The left one is being that, "Don't tell Agnes what we did, Billy. Don't tell Agnes what we did." And the one on the other side is like, "Rah, rah," the aggressive side. And the one in the middle is the one that can speak in a normal tone. "I'm gonna kill you," like this tone. So you can see that was a cool shot. That basically he's a schizophrenic. He has multiple personalities. That's obvious, but that they show it to you, that was a brilliant idea. Of course, after Sam notices that she hears a loud bang, she goes to inspect. She doesn't find any of her friends. She does find a large blood stain on the bed of Justine. She goes to the attic because she hears this music playing. She goes and check it out. She finds Justine wrapped in Christmas lights, because the movie also takes place at Christmas, like the original did. And then you see the original phone, like I said, from the original movie with the same number, and it gets a call, and she picks it up. "Sam, I'm here for you," or something like that. And then she, but that's the thing that was debated in the first one too, because one of the debates, one of the negatives, but I never thought it was a negative. But I understand where they're coming from. Is that nobody heard him? He was like squealing and making these extreme loud noises, and he was actually just upstairs, right? Here he's just sitting on a beam above her, and there's even a moment when he's calling with a cell phone, and Jess and Sam are standing, let's say, just beside the desk, and he's under the desk and calling, and that's so, and they don't hear that. Come on, come on, that's a little bit. Okay, that's going. I mean, in the original one, he's upstairs. You know, there's a, you know, it's there's a level, you know, uh, that is between them, right? There's but in this one, it's just underneath a desk or above her on a beam. He tries to touch her, and she runs away. And then there's this little twist. The neighbor, like I said, spoilers. So I'm starting, right? The neighbor, she picks her up. The friendly neighbor who brought cookies, and she says, "My name is Agnes." Agnes. If you can remember, what Billy always said is, "Don't tell Agnes what we did, Billy." Remember? She eventually says, "Oh," she stops the car and says, "Oh, I think I hit something. Can you see out of your window?" Okay, and she sees, and she chloroforms her, and she basically goes to the house, I think the same house of Jess Bradford, and she yells, "Billy, get your fucking ass out here." So she's clearly the dominant one, and that Billy kind of is scared of Agnes, and that he wants to kill her, but he doesn't dare to kill her. And the entire reason why they're basically going after Jess, because Jess was already, she wasn't dead, she was captured by Agnes and Billy, and she was kept in the cellar, and Sam is also thrown by Billy in the cellar. Now at some point, Billy comes in, knocks Sam out, and they take Jess for questioning. The reason why they want to question her is because she apparently has all the evidence what they did. They didn't only kill in 1974 with the Belmont massacre, they also killed a lot more times until 79, for at least 5 years they killed people. And she eventually uncovered something, and that's the reason why they came after her. And but yet it's never really told what that evidence is. There is and that's also a little it's a shame that they never she did say that she know what they did. Apparently in the original movie, Billy was killing the people inside the because there was also this debate of how did Billy get to the girl in the park and then get to the sorority house and then get outside and kill the cop, because there was a cop waiting outside the sorority house, you know, guarding them, and his throat was slit. How did he do that? Well, Agnes killed the girl in the park and killed uh, the cop. Basically, Agnes, her idea was killing somebody in the park, so the police is focused on that kill, and they would leave the co-eds alone, and Billy can kill the co-eds, right? And so he killed multiple people in that sorority house, but Agnes was his accomplice, and that's of course a clear explanation for how did he, you know, he's not Michael Myers, right? He's not like he's there, then he's there, then he's there. All right, it's Billy, right? Um, so yeah, she's saying at some point, yeah, I know what she did, I know what she did, and then Agnes comes in and she says, we're hard to find, and eventually she found her, and she has this big axe because she basically chopped all the. I mean, she chopped Justine and Emma in pieces to bury them in pieces. So you see that when she lays down the axe, it's covered in blood. And I have to say, does a really good job of playing this psycho woman. She's almost as scary as Billy. But like I said, you almost see Billy's face when he's sitting on that table, when he's basically seeing his multiple personalities sitting there, and you can see his face. It's almost, you can see his mouth, and he has a beard. So, in my opinion, you see too much of Billy, but it has a nice conclusion. This fan movie. You can call it unofficial. Some may even call it official sequel. Um, it does have a nice concluding ending, but at some point Sam escapes. There's also a point that Sam's dad, whose name is never revealed, comes with presents, and he because he was going to come to the house, they would have Christmas there for the last Christmas there. Then he would sell the house, and Agnes opens the door, and he lets him in, and of course he gets killed. Sam at some point finds her father hanging in a garbage bag. You see the hand sticking out, and Christmas lights again are wrapped around it. Then we see Agnes standing there, and she basically hits Sam against the wall, and she says, You got your father's eyes." And she spits blood in her face because she got hit in the head, like I said, by Billy, and she was bleeding pretty hard from that hit. And she says, "Oh dear, if that's the only thing you've got, no, I also got this." And she got the knife Justine was killed with that Billy used in chapter 1, and she stabs her multiple times in the neck area. We don't really see it, but we see her hand, her bloody hand, and we hear her gurgling that she's suffocating in her own blood. And we eventually see the body because Billy finds her dead, and he's like, he takes her, the hand, and the bloody hand, and he's putting his finger in there, and he basically wraps her in Christmas lights on a chair, and in blood, she says, "Don't tell Agnes." So he didn't care if she died. I think he wanted to kill her, but he never dared to do that. And now he's free in a way. Like I said, after that, the phone call comes from underneath the desk, and they're standing there. Uh, Sam has an axe. Jess gets the same weapon she had in the original movie, a fire poker. They eventually they hear something. They go investigate, and then we see Billy like this going after Sam and puts a bag on her head and to asphyxiate her, and then closes the door after behind Jess, and Jess can't get out, and Sam gets out of the bag, and then he tries to strangle her, but then eventually Jess gets out, stabs stabs Billy, and you see, and that was a cool thing. You see on the pointy end of the fire poker the eye of Billy, which is this. He had big black eyes with this orange gleam in it, and you see the eyeball hanging from the poker, which was cool. It was really cool, and you never really see his face, but like I said, they do reveal a lot of his features, and he's a decrepit man, and you know what I mean. There's also a in chapter two a character called Nancy, played by an actress called Lynn Griffin, and she's called, like I said, she's apparently she was a detective, and she is the one who went back in the house, found her sister, which was Claire. Claire is the one Billy kills the first with the bag over her head, and she's the one who's sitting in front of the window in the rocking chair. The signature kill you also see on the cover of the DVD. And she saw Billy standing over Jess, saying this line over and over again. It's like having a wart removed, which her boyfriend said, Peter, you're talking about killing a baby like you're having a wart removed. Abortion, right? Right. No. And eventually Nancy saved her, and he ran away. Now there's also a detective, Mike Henney. Now he doesn't do a lot. They let they It's the same police building, and if you go in, it's the same kind of hall. And I thought, oh, but now I'm not sure if John Saxon is still alive, but I hope if he's still alive, it would be cool, because he said Nancy is a retired detective, but she believes Jess is still alive, and she thinks she knows where she's living. So, so at the very end, she comes to the house of Jess, in the middle of nowhere, and she gives her the USB, the thumb drive, the USB drive with all the evidence. And she just said, I didn't want to compromise you. That's why I wanted to do this alone. That's her reasoning, by just going off the grid, letting people think she's dead. But she wanted to solve this first and then get in contact with the police. Um, and that detective Mike Kenny was there just to be there, and eventually he comes with backup at the end. But he said, if the chief knew I let you in here, and then I actually wish that the chief would be John Saxon, or that idiot sergeant from the original movie, just as a to please as our fans. We didn't get. It's a shame, but yeah, that we didn't get Olivia Hussey, but Lisa Kovac did a great job playing Jess. She had that long but then gray hair, of course. She's older. Those I always thought that Olivia Hussey looks a little bit exotic looking, like Hawaiian or something. She looked exotic, and a beautiful woman with long black hair, and she when she's in it, she it's almost like she didn't got older. She still looked the same. She had that long black hair. In Psycho, she had that long black hair. She's a beautiful woman. And Lisa Kovac did a great job of portraying Jess, you know? So the movie, it gets a 6.5 for me. Chapter 2 gets a 6.5. Chapter 1 gets a 7.1. But I can guarantee you it's worth your while to check these movies out. I'll put the original one, I'll put the two fan movies in the description. So if you want to check them out, you can check them out just by probably copy and pasting them in the search engine. And the first thing you see is the movie. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed this review. Please subscribe. It's free. I'll see you next time. Bye.